Cool. After downloading and installing SPSS software in our computer, now this is high time we start doing some basic data analysis using SPSS. So I have put a link in the description which take you step by step how you can be able to download and install SPSS 27, the latest version, in your computer for free. So after now we have downloaded SPSS in our computer, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to come here in the search bar. You can search for SPSS. Then you can technically pin it in the taskbar to make it easier to do your basic data analysis. So this course, I have already prepared it for anybody who have never interacted with SPSS. So this is the lesson 001 for SPSS. This will be a practical course, so you don't need to write anything. You just need to have the computer and this software with you, and you're good to go. So after we pin this software in the taskbar, it will make it easier to be opening this software as we are going through our course, so we can open the software. So it will just take some minutes based on the speed of your computer and how often you open the software. So because I had opened it today, so it must be faster. So when you open SPSS for the first time, you will receive this dialog interface or a welcome interface in SPSS. So it contains some information. We have the recent files, we have the sample dataset. So basically this sample dataset is dataset which technically help us to conduct some basic analysis using SPSS in case you don't have any secondary data which you can do reference to. So when we have now this dialog interface which is here, or this welcome interface which is here, you can be able to access the recent file which you have opened. As you can see, these are the recent files which I had opened. So it asks you if you don't want to show this dialog in future, so it can just show it, there is no harm, so that you can be able to access these sample dataset easily rather than the complex method of getting them from the File Explorer. So I just close the window and allow it to be showing every time I open SPSS. Then when you get into SPSS, we have two interfaces or two sheets. So the first interface is the data view interface, and the second interface is the variable view interface. So this variable view interface is the interface we technically show us more or explain to us more about the variables which we have in our dataset. So in case you want to input raw data in SPSS, since this is an introductory course, this is the space which you usually use to describe the variable which you want to enter. Maybe you have raw data which you want to enter in SPSS. It is so easy to enter that raw data. So first thing first, what you're supposed to do, we shall start by inputting raw data in SPSS, so that in case you be having some primary data which you have collected from the field, you can be able to enter it in SPSS and carry out some analysis rather than using the example dataset or already prepared dataset like which is Excel and importing it. So you can basically input data in SPSS. It is so easy and it saves a lot of time. So what we need to do, we just input an example. We shall just do an example dataset of data which is hypothetical in my head. So we have a company with employees. So we have the employee's name, we have the age of the employee, their education level, and then we do with their incomes. And then I'll show you how you can enter that data, raw data in SPSS. Maybe we can start with the name here, the name of the employees, the name. So name is technically, when you put name, the type of data which is name represent, name is a string variable. So you just click within the inside these shells, and then you shall click these three dotted line which is here, then click above it, then you come here and select string, then click OK. So you can maintain the width of this name as variable to accommodate only 8 letters. Then the name does not have a decimal point. So here we have label, this label which is here, which try to explain. So basically variable will try to help you enter variables and explain those variables. So where we have label tell us more about this variable name. So we can say, because we are dealing with a company with employee, we can say these are the names of the employees employees. Then we don't have values, so we usually deal with values where we have categorical variables, and I will demonstrate to you how we usually do. So basically we don't have any missing values, so we don't need to specify any missing values, since these missing value in most cases affect our analysis when doing an analysis, and then you have a missing value. So that means you have a missing value which is critical when making your analysis. So your column is it, and then alignment is left, so it is good. The measure, so we have three types of measure. We have the nominal measure, we have the ordinal, and we have the scale. So when you click here, you can be able to see them. So our case, the name does not contain any utility or a rank, so we shall just maintain it as a nominal. So nominal is just originate from the name noun, so that's why we call it nominal. So we can come here and deal now with age. So age is a numeric variable since it's a number. Then in most cases, you get a person with age with decimal points, so we can maintain our decimals as a 0. Then, as I told you, the label tell us about more about the variable which is here, age. So we can say this one, we can explain more and say this one is the age of the age of the employees. The age of the employees. Then age is not a categorical variable. So categorical variables, they are variables which are based on category, maybe yes or no, or true or false, or basically male and female. So that is a categorical variable, but I'll show you how we usually insert them values rather than rewriting those names, and see how our analysis will be easy and how we can be able to input raw data in SPSS. Then from there, what we need to come here and specify now is the measure. So the measure of age is a scale variable. So age is a number, or it's basically based on integer. So age is a scale variable. So we measure age using scale. So we can come here and deal with gender. Gender now. So gender is a categorical variable. So gender is basically a string variable. So since we have male and female, so this is a string variable. So just click these boxes under this shell, and then check the string variables, and then click OK. Then, as I informed you, the label tell us more about the variable name. So we shall come here and explain more about the gender. So this is the gender of the employees. Then where we have now variables, so now this is where we will deal with variables. So we shall come here and click these three dotted bars in the shell, and then come here and insert some values. So we can put value 0 to represent female, and click female. Is it fee? Am I wrong? I'm correct. To represent female, add, and we can input value 1 to represent male, value 1 to represent male gender. Then click, let me cap this one so that they be uniform. Then click add. So I can put OK. So wherever there is female, we'll be inputting value 0, and wherever there is male, we'll be putting value 1. So I'll show you how this one technically make a very nice identity matrix. Then from there, gender is a nominal variable. Since this is just names, they are just categorical variables which are just names. So I want to show you how we can deal with now a measure which we call ordinal measure. So ordinal measure is based on rank. So we can try and assess the education levels of this employee. So we can come here and write education. Then education is basically a string variable. Then click OK. Then, as I informed you, the label tell us more about the variable name. So we can come here and explain more about the name, and we say this is the education level of the employees. Then here now where we have values, so in order to make our data entry so easy in SPSS, we can give the level of education values, or we can attach different level of education with some values. So we can click these three dotted bar and then three dot and is it a dotted line? Then we input value 1, value 0. Let me start from 0 to represent primary level of education, primary level, and then we can click add, input value 1 to represent high school education, high school education, then click add, and you can input value 2 to represent tertiary education. Then we can click add and then click OK. So that means wherever there is primary education, we shall be inputting value 0 if our employee is a primary dropout. In case our employee is a secondary dropout, we shall be inputting value 0. And in case our employee is a tertiary education dropout, we shall be inputting value 2. So you can do even if the variables are so many as possible. That is the criteria which you can use to make it easier to input data in SPSS. And then the type of measure here, the type of measure is ordinal. So where have we chosen ordinal data rather than nominal? So the different level of education have different tracks and different level of satisfaction of utility. So you expect a primary school employee dropout to be less skilled as compared to that in high school, and that of high school is less skilled compared to that who have tertiary education or tertiary diploma. So what we can input again in order to make the data comprehensive and learn some multiple variables, but this is how we have not inputted the data which we want to carry out our analysis. So this is just technically inputting the variables and trying to explain more about explaining more about these variables before now we start doing our analysis. So what we need to do, we need to enter the income of our employees. So income is technically a numeric variable, so we shall just maintain a width of 8. So we can also maintain this, we can also round off this income close to 0 decimals. Then we can explain more about this variable named income and say this is the income level of the employees. Then do we need to attach values here? Technically no, since we don't have categorical variables or variables which you want to give them values based on their category. So from them, do we have a missing value? Technically, according to our data set, we don't think there will be any missing value. So where there is a measure, the measure is just maintained as unknown. So you need to tell SPSS Software which kind of data you are entering here. So you must have basic of some statistics, which is just the normal statistics. As you know, numeric is a scale variable. Since anything which is integer or numbers, they are just scale variables. That is the simple analogy. Numbers, they are scale variables. That is if they are not values which have been attached to explain a certain categorical variable or some certain ordinals or utility variables. Then from them, now I wanted to show you something else. In case your income is in you want to specify maybe a custom currency like US dollars, you can select here rather than numbers. You can select the US dollars which you want to input. In case they are in millions, in case they are in tens, millions, thousand, you can be able to input here trillions, anything you can be able to input here. So, but we shall learn more as we continue. Let us just first maintain it like that. Then as we continue, we shall elaborate it further. From there, now after explaining the variables and entering the variables here, so this is how we usually input raw data in SPSS. First, we explain the variables as we have done here. You explain every variable which you shall be using. Then you come into the data view window. So where we have now the data view window, you can notice the name have input itself here. and when you click above it, you put your cursor above it, it will say this is the name, is the name of the employee, is then a string variable. The measure which is measuring this name is a nominal. So you can see the age, the name is the age, rainbow is the age of the employee. It is telling us more about the age. And then this we are using scale to measure it. Here goes, and this is a string variable. Education is a string, but the measure is ordinal. So we can just use some hypothetical names here and show you how you can enter raw data here. So maybe we can say the first person here is Peter. We can just maintain lowercase letter to type faster. Then we can say the second person was Simon. The third person was Jane. The fourth was Faith. The third was, we can say which another name, John. How many employees do we have? I want us to have 7 employees. The sixth is Mary. And the 7th is Ben. Then we can come here and specify about their age. Maybe we can say Peter is 34. Simon is 25. We can select Jane is 23. Phil is 34. We can take John is 37. Ben is 49. And Ben is 55. So these are just hypothetical data. So maybe if you have your data, this is how we input data here. So remember where we dealt with age, we said age is a categorical variables. So instead of saying now Peter, which is a male name, instead of putting male here, we shall be inputting value 1, as we specified here, where we attach value. We attach value 1. In case we get where we have a female name, we input value 0, since we attached labels in these categorical names, which is male or female. In case there's a question even of yes or no, you can select either no to be represented by value 0 and yes to be represented by value 1. And you can form very beautiful identity matrix using those figures. So from there, Peter is a male, so we input value 1. Simon is a male, value 1. Jane is a female, value 0. Faith is a female, value 0. John is a male, value 1. Mary is a female, value 0. Ben is a male, value 1. So we can input their value, their education level. So you can notice instead of repeating female, male, which can be so tedious, you can do it very simple. So we have level of education, as we said here, when specifying our variable. So this is very critical when entering raw data in SPSS, and that's why I prepared this to be our first course, to know how we can input data in SPSS. You notice where we had education level of the employee, we specify their education, where we give a label of value 0 to primary education, a label of value 1 to high school education, and a value 2 to represent tertiary education. From there now, we can input that data in the data view, section. Maybe we can assume Peter is a tertiary education graduate. We can give this guy value 2. We can assume Simon is a high school dropout. We can give him value 1. And we can assume Jane is also a tertiary education graduate. We give her value 2. We can assume Faith is also a primary school level graduate. We give her value 0. We can assume John is a secondary school dropout 1, and we can assume Mary is a primary school dropout. We give her 0, and Ben is a tertiary school dropout. We give him 2. Then we can come here and input their level of income. Maybe we can assume Peter's earn 145,000. Then we can assume Simon earns 98,000. We can assume Jane earns 50,000. We can take that Faith earns 47,000. Then we can assume Jones earns 67,000. So these are just hypothetical variables, but in case you have your own variables, you can use them to check out your analysis, but this was just to demonstrate to you how you can enter raw data in SPSS. So, but you can use my example dataset and try to work with me, then use your dataset now to do a more serious analysis. Then we can assume Mary answer 39,000 and Ben earns 1,000. Is it correct? Yeah. So this is basically how we usually enter raw data in SPSS. Maybe we assume we want to maintain our income as US dollars. We can come to where we have income and select dollar, and then we can click OK. Let's come to the data view. You can see now our income have been converted into US dollars. So this is no longer the normal income, so it is converted in the currency of US dollars. So this is how you can play with this interface and try and do. Maybe you can select a custom currency which you want to use, but for this video we can technically restrict us maintaining it as a numeric. There is no harm. Let us maintain it as a numeric variable. So this is how technically we enter raw data in SPSS, and this is technically what you need to know before even you start interacting with SPSS. There are people who prefer starting with analysis, but understand how the software works. Then we can now start doing the serious analysis. Though this is a very serious analysis in case you have your primary data and you want to input it in SPSS. So basically, we can try and do some basic analysis using this data which we have input here. So maybe we can try and generate some graphs. You can come to where we have graphs. You can come here. We can try and generate a bar chart using this data. We can generate a simple bar chart and then click define. Then we can come here, use a number of cases. We can use other statistic, e.g. mean, and so on and so forth. So we can come here and select our variable as the level of income, and then compare the level of income and the education level of the employee. You can first of all learn it this way. So we can use chart specification from. We can just continue and see the graph which it will give us. So this is just an introduction. So this is the command which is technically executing. So it is generating us a bar chart. So it is running. So this is the output window. So let it give us the output. So it is here. So it have generated us a very beautiful graph. So here you can see these are the y-axis. We have the income level of the employee, and there at the x-axis we have the education level of the employees. As you can see, the primary level graduates earns less as compared to the high school level education graduate, and the tertiary school education graduate happen to be earning more. But this is a biased data since we have built it based on information which we already have, and it is not data analysis. Data analysis comes from point of no information to point of information. So this is a biased data. I don't think it works like this in the normalized scenario. So in case so this is the command which it have executed, the mean income by education, which is a categorical variable. So in case you want to learn this video, this command is a syntax file, or learn it as a syntax file which you can save, and for when you are doing multiple projects and then you don't want to repeat the procedure, what you can do, you can come here. Let me see if I can be able to get into that video again. Okay, we can just come here where we have graphs, then come to where we have legacy diagram. I want to show you how you can learn a syntax file for this analysis which we have conducted. Then you can come to where we have bar chart, simple, define. Then this bar chart, instead now of clicking OK, you can paste. So you can see when you paste, now it have written this command, bar simple is equals to mean income by education, which is at the category axis. You need just to click play. and you have been able to run this bar chart using syntax. So these syntax, you can save them for in case you are doing a very comprehensive project which you don't want to keep on repeating. So as we are going forward, I'll be showing you how you can be able to save these syntax, which are very simple commands. So I want to make this course as simple as possible and as interactive as possible. So we close at this point for now. Then in the next video, which is lesson 002, we shall be dealing with how you can import data from Excel to SPSS, and also how we can use to do data analysis, basic data analysis using the example data set saved in SPSS. And now we'll be able to move forward. So you can be able to do a lot of things. You can also be able to do descriptive statistics using this data which we have here. Maybe you can take you can take this age as the variable, and then this, and then we can take more option. We can take the variance, range, standard error, and then we can continue, and let's just run it first, like the data set. You can be able to see that the size of the sample is 7, or the number of observation. Then the range of statistics is here, maximum. Then we have the mean statistics, we have the standard error, we have the standard deviation of the age and the income. They are here. So this is how we can do a simple descriptive statistics of this data set. So this was just an example showing you how you can input raw data in SPSS and do some basic analysis, which is so simple, either running commands or doing it using these interactive